The Elder Scrolls.
Here's our last hope.
No. There is another.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about a video game, a certain RPG, which has been criminally underrated in my opinion and has stayed below the radar for far too long. I might go as far as to say that this game is better than Skyrim, one of my favorite RPGs. Although this might not be a completely fair comparison, as this game was built on top of Bethesda's original engine, and used many of Skyrim's original assets. I am referring to none other than Enderal, Shards of Order, a total conversion made by the German studio SureAI. Hang on, what's that? I think I hear some triggered nerd rage.
You don't know what you're talking about. Enderal isn't even a separate video game. It's a mod. It's just a mod for Skyrim.
To which I say, great! This is actually wonderful because it means that the game comes with a sense of familiarity and nostalgia for those who have played Skyrim. Many of its core game mechanics are similar enough so that the player does not feel overwhelmed. There is no need to navigate a steep learning curve just to be able to enjoy the unique setting and story which Enderal offers. You won't be wasting any time learning how quest markers work or how to manage your inventory, or any other number of features which are largely unchanged from the base game. At the same time, there are many completely new features, enough for Enderal to actually feel like a standalone game and not just Skyrim that's set in some separate, non-Tamrielic world space. There are so many unique and exciting features that covering all of them is way outside the scope of this video, so I will try to focus down on some of the more important ones. The first thing I would like to talk about is the soundtrack. The songs which set the mood for the game, adding to everything from the vast and exciting expanses of its world, to the dark and harrowing main plot. But the quality of the music isn't the only reason I am mentioning this. More than anything, the soundtrack emphasizes just how much love, care, and attention to detail went into Enderal's development. There are more than 100 music pieces in the main soundtrack alone, all of which had to be composed and performed by several different people. For reference, this is more than double the amount of songs in the official soundtrack of any Elder Scrolls title, and all of this is released as part of an, air quotes, mod. The same level of care and attention can also be seen in the voice acting within Enderal. Despite having a comparable number of major and minor characters to just about any AAA title out there, the game's different NPCs do not feel like they're being voiced by the same person over and over again. Or at the very least, it isn't painfully obvious, and some attempts are made to disguise it, while the voice acting itself is admittedly kind of mediocre in a few places.
Oh my, this is getting really confusing. Maybe we should just take a look around. What do you think? We were right about the shrine, so maybe the next clue is also hidden somewhere near here. I will wait right here.
On the other hand, the majority of the voice acting feels professional, especially when concerning major characters or significant quest moments.
And you actually believe this could work? It sounds absurd.
I don't believe I know.
Let's hope he
The
knows
mercenary,
what
he
he's
might
doing.
not be the shining knight of Castle Starsound, but he's better than most of your men. I want him, and you will need to convince your true Chesser of it.
Is that so?
A variety of unique and memorable NPCs exist to further immerse the player into Enderal's magnificent world, ranging from minor characters such as that herald who stands around in the capital city, piously decreeing new events and summarizing what you, the player, did throughout the game.
Hear my words, O path-abiding people of this holy city. A miracle has happened, a miracle that must have been, due to its sheer glory, brought forth by Malthus himself. Telor Arenfiel has returned. Yes, you have heard right. The lost heir to the throne, son of Lorius, has, after decades of imprisonment by his treacherous son, returned to his position as Grand Master of the Holy Order. The esteemed Trakesha, Natara dal Varim.
To the whole cast of major characters who all play important roles throughout the game's plot. These characters are so much more than the bland cardboard cutouts we've grown used to seeing in the Elder Scrolls series. Enderal's developers did their best to make these characters all feel unique and lifelike, to flesh out their personalities and to give them complex backstories, and their efforts show. Some of these characters will react differently based on your decisions and the dialogue options you choose, either lowering or increasing their disposition towards you. Although this is a somewhat simplistic system, wherein a character generally either likes or dislikes something that you have said, the accumulated disposition will inevitably influence events further on in the game, allowing you to unlock small side quests. 2 of these characters can even be romanced, unlocking almost a full hour of extra dialogue and cutscenes, and even slightly changing the ending of the game. Enderal's map takes up about 3/4 of Skyrim's landmass, and it is packed with content and detail. The continent is not merely randomly generated, but it is brilliantly handcrafted and features many unique locations and dungeons. Hundreds of quests are scattered across several different zones, each of which features its own unique biome and atmosphere. The world of Enderal does not scale with the player, meaning that enemies will not level up along with you. Of course, this lack of scaling means that many of these quests and zones will be practically impossible to access in the early game, due to just how strong some of these enemies are. But it also means that there will be a very real sense of progression. Instead of just fighting the same number of higher level enemies later in the game, you will actually be able to feel the full effects of your character becoming stronger with every new level, spell, and skill that you acquire. Keep progressing long enough, and you will eventually find that enemies who were once completely out of your league will hardly even be able to offer a challenge. Of course, should the game ever become too easy, one can always simply tweak the difficulty settings, just like in Skyrim. In terms of general gameplay and combat mechanics, Enderal feels almost exactly like Skyrim at first glance, although this begins to change as one delves deeper into the game. Most notably, the leveling system is completely redone, with Enderal introducing a new XP-based system like in most RPGs. Killing enemies, questing, crafting, lockpicking, and many other things will all reward you with experience points, and once you have gained enough, you will level up automatically. Magic, being somewhat of a focus in Enderal, is greatly reworked from Skyrim and consists of many unique spells, some of which are situational, or should be combined with other spells for greater effect. For example, casting a certain mind-altering spell at a target several times in quick succession can make that enemy become mesmerized, reducing some of its stats and making it more vulnerable to other, more powerful mind-altering spells. Offensive spells are no longer limited to direct elemental spells, meaning that some mind-altering spells can also harm targets. And there is an entire school of death magic, whose spells either consume the caster's health to deal extra damage, or deal more damage the lower the caster's health is. What I like the most about Enderal's reworked magic system is that all spells will either directly scale off of a certain skill, or are separated into ranks which are basically different levels of the same spell, meaning that spells will never become obsolete as you progress and gain new levels. A Flame Gout spell will be just as viable as a Fireball spell at higher levels, provided that you can find and learn its higher form. Since the player character is no longer the Dragonborn of Skyrim, shouts are replaced with a system of talents. These talents are unlocked by spending perk points, or by purchasing some rare and exclusive items from specific merchants. Talents have a more buff-oriented nature compared to Skyrim's typically offensive shouts. When activated, some might absorb incoming physical damage, or redirect that damage back to the enemy, while others might let you cast a powerful spell without the use of your hands, or blind enemies with flash powder, allowing you to reset a fight that went badly. Because talents do not share cooldowns, you can make use of several of them simultaneously, giving combat a much more dynamic feel at higher levels. In addition to the standard warrior, mage, rogue playstyles typical to most RPGs, Enderal's new DLC has added what the developers refer to as crafting playstyle. Yes, you heard right, there is a whole DLC that was released for this mod, complete with a whole new storyline and many small but welcome overhauls. These crafting playstyles require the player to prepare for fights ahead of time by crafting consumables and trinkets. For instance, the Phasmalist playstyle allows you to create a magical amulet to which you will bind the souls of the deceased before summoning them as a powerful follower. You can then invest in this playstyle to further customize your followers' skills and abilities. One can also learn how to transform into a werewolf almost from the start of the game. This is accomplished by brewing fairly simple potions which transform you for a set amount of time. And let me just say that werewolves in Enderal are fun as hell to play as. Because the werewolf form is only acquirable through potions, improving your alchemy skill will make your werewolf form stronger. You are actually able to consume potions and use talents as a werewolf, and special potions called Chimica will buff your werewolf form in some ways. For instance, adding elemental damage to your claws. There are even werewolf-specific magical abilities that you can acquire, and all of it is balanced in such a way that your werewolf form will never feel like vanilla Skyrim's weak sauce lycanthropes. But on top of the myriad of unique game mechanics Enderal offers, the real thing to appreciate about the game is how well fleshed out its setting is. Enderal is not SureAI's first such project. There are, wait for it, 4 games set in the world of Vin, built using the assets of Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. While I myself have only had the time to play Enderal and its predecessor Nerim so far, everything I've heard leads me to believe that each of these games is as massive and well made as Enderal. Their lore is as rich and as deep as their stories, and everything ranging from little details and items that are placed in certain ways, to the dialogues you have with NPCs and the hundreds of in-game books written from different characters' perspectives, immerse the player, giving the feeling that the world around you is alive and that you are a part of it. I can go on for hours explaining all of the smaller features and how they make Enderal amazing. Really, the only negative thing I can say about any of these titles is their community, or rather, the unfortunate lack thereof. SureAI's projects are nothing short of incredible, and they fully deserve to be recognized and compared to every RPG out there. That is why I want to tell each and every one of you that these titles, they actually exist, and better yet, they are completely free to install and play if you have Bethesda's original games. Enderal, Shards of Order can be installed directly through Steam as a separate game in a separate folder on your computer, as long as you have Skyrim in your Steam library. So what the heck are you waiting for? I want to give SureAI and its developers a sincere and heartfelt thank you for creating all of these amazing titles. I cannot wait to play through every one of their games, and to write reviews telling you folks how awesome they are, though I don't know how long it might take me. It is hard to exaggerate just how massive these titles are. With over 100 hours sunk into Enderal, I still occasionally discover new, basic features, and feel like a total dunce for not realizing that they were there earlier. Folks, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to receive a message when my next reviews come out. I also plan to regularly release other content pertaining to these games, their lore, any hidden secrets, fan theories, and the sort. I would like to see a community form around this series, so that it may finally gain the following it deserves. So be sure to let me know in the comments below what kind of content you guys would be most interested in. Until then, I wish you all the best things in life and in Enderal.